Today I thought I would talk about something, at least one of my own personal experiences, where sometimes I find it kind of hard to start writing, especially if it's in a journal. I find myself getting stuck in a lot of things that I do in life sometimes, whether it's photography, if it's trying to figure out what YouTube video to make, or to write in one of my journals, is how do I overcome that when I don't really know what I want to do? Well, there's a few different things I could share from personal experiences and give you some ideas that might help you out. But I can tell you one of the best places that I have ideas for really anything I do is in the shower. So I guess that would be my first tip, is to go take a shower. While you're in there, just think about, what's going on in your day. Not even so much about writing. And I think if I could give you a big piece of encouragement and advice, it's don't even think about what you're going to write. Think about what's going on in your life. Think about your day, or just let the thoughts that are in your mind just pass through, just like the water. From those, you could pull different things to write about. But if you've already had a shower and you didn't have any amazing thoughts of things to write about or really get yourself going with your journaling, then something else you can do is try to come up with prompts or go online. You could use something like ChatGPT or go to Google or something and do prompt journaling. Now, I am not the biggest fan of that, and I didn't really enjoy it in school either, unless I enjoyed the prompt. So maybe it is you coming up with that prompt to get yourself going. Maybe it's, what would my life look like if I were a rock and roll guitar player? Maybe that's your prompt, and you do this creative writing session. Or maybe you don't limit yourself to any type of writing in particular, and you just have a free writing session. That's the one that typically I enjoy doing the most. If there's something that's just on my mind, so like take my job, for example. I get very stressed out at my job, and very often. So one way for me to combat that stress is to write about it in my journal. So I take whatever it is that's bothering me in that moment, I take a couple of minutes, I pull out my pocket journal, and I just start writing down all the thoughts I'm having. The good, the bad, the ugly, whatever language and description that I want to use for that situation, and that is my journaling. So that's typically how I do my journaling, is instead of just planning to do it, I do it as I need it. So if I have a really good idea for a video, I don't have my phone on me, and I've got my pocket journal, I write it down. If I all of a sudden have this huge spark of creativity, I start writing that down. So you could do things like lists or just your ideas. There's so many different ways that we can go about creating an experience that is good for us. So just because somebody on the internet tells you to do something doesn't mean that it's going to work. It doesn't mean that you're going to enjoy it. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get something out of it. So all the ideas that I'm giving you here and now are just ideas to try. One of the easiest things is just capturing your day. If it's early in the morning, maybe think about the things you would like to accomplish today. Do you want to have a more positive mindset? Do you want to do 3 random acts of kindness for people? Write about those things. Talk about those things. Maybe it's in the evening and you want to reflect on the day that you had. One of the best things about journaling for me is it really helped me overcome a lot of extreme stress and anxiety that just kind of got dumped on me one day, or at least that's how it felt. It felt like one day, out of the blue, I was just hit in the face, and all of a sudden had all these new emotions that I'd never felt before, all these new feelings, these physical sensations, and these mental thoughts. And so I started writing about them, because one of the first things when you're looking up mental health things is to start a journal. And I can't tell you how important that was to my journey. And not only that, I found enjoyment in it, and just being able to write down ideas of cool stuff, especially being a photographer. One of my journals up here, actually. So this little kind of no-name journal I have is the Chad's Photo and Video book. So everything that I write about in this book is stuff related to photography and videography. So I've got my photo upgrades, I've got photo hacks, a mini documentary series that I'd like to do. I've got creative services that I thought about offering at one point, and then I broke down the videography from another service section, but you get the point. So you can have multiple journals. I've got like 5 or 6 or 7 up here that are currently active in some way, shape, or form that are for specific needs. So journaling doesn't always have to be about just putting down your thoughts or talking about your experiences, but they can be documenting hobbies or passions. A lot of times when I'm watching videos on YouTube, I like to write down some of the things that I'm learning, especially if I'm reading a book. If I find something interesting in that book, a lot of times I'll have a notebook beside of me and I can write down things like quotes or little tidbits of information, or even just a page marker saying, this book on page 97, this, There's a lot of different things you can do. So if you're struggling to get yourself just to start writing, whether it's for the day or whatever, the biggest piece of advice I can give you is do not force it. If you don't feel like writing in that moment, don't make yourself do that. But if you need a little bit of encouragement on what to write, consider trying at least one of the many options that we talked about here today. There's so many resources here online, so many resources up here in your mind as well, that you'll be able to find something. And I can tell you one last place that I find the most inspiration for everything I do, whether it's making videos or getting through a stressful day or taking photographs or whatever, and that's listening to music. Think about some of your favorite bands and some of your favorite songs and how those make you feel and how they make you interpret the world. And then take those feelings and emotions and apply that to something. Maybe put on a pair of headphones, cut on your favorite album, and just let it start playing and start writing based on the emotions that you feel from the music. Or maybe the emotions you feel from the day, or it really doesn't matter. It's up to you. This is for you to take it and make it into what you need. But also, being someone that struggles sometimes with figuring out to write, if I didn't mention something in this video that you use to come up with ways to write about things or get over that writer's block or that creativity block, if we're not talking about just writing, leave that in the comments below, because I'm sure everybody would love to be able to share those experiences of how to overcome that and just do something that we enjoy doing. Because after all, if we didn't have these things to get our thoughts out of here and onto something like this, I think some of us would just go completely mad. But I hope that you get something out of this video that you can take with you and use it for you how you need to. And as always, be sure to create something new today.